Welcome back, everyone. Happy to have you here once again this week. So let's welcome my beautiful co-host, Deborah.
Wow.
Almost as I was keeping a surprise. Hi, Deb.
Hey, Caroline, how are you doing out in the East Coast as the season changes?
Oh, it's my favorite time of the year. I love fall. I just love it. I love the colors. I love the smell, the temperatures. So I'm in a happy mood today. How about you on the West Coast?
You know what? I think I just found something that we really have in common outside of like hanging out with cool entrepreneurs. Favorite time of year. I love wearing a little sweater, and it's that just everything's changing. Yeah, it's groovy. But the problem is I started thinking about Christmas. I don't know. It's this thing I'm like, oh, the season. I literally was making my Christmas list.
That's a huge problem. So we can do a whole podcast on that. I'm sure you would have probably half of our audience would be on your side and half would be on my side, because there's people like me that don't want to see the decorations before December 1st, and some like you that put them in September. So there's a happy medium in between. It's like on Facebook, one of my friends asked, when is it too early to put Halloween decoration? And I answered her, October 29. Like for me, it's like when there's a holiday, just celebrate it while it's that, not 4 weeks before and 4 weeks after. So anyway, so thank you for listening again, guys. You can send me your bill, my therapy bill, as always. But today we're going to talk about, wow, I really think it's a good subject, release. So I just released what I felt right now, recharge and realign. So we all know that Deb is very, very, in tune with everything that is natural, spiritual, and everything. So let's ask her that magic question. Deb, besides bugging me, what do you do to release and then recharge and realign?
Oh my goodness. Okay, first of all, I want the phone number of the person who asked when it was too early, because I just finished doing my Halloween decorations last night. So me and her, we're going to be Facebook buddies. Patch us up. Okay.
I want to just do a little precision here, guys. I know you will hear that in October, but we're recording in September. Keep going, Deborah.
Oh man. Okay. So outside of, I just made a new Facebook friend. That's cool. So what do I do to release, recharge, and realign? There's a lot of things that I do outside of bugging you. It's amazing. That's what I had kids for. So release. You know what? I'm a big singer in the shower. I'm not saying anyone's going to pay tickets. I'm not going to say that anyone's going to, enjoy the experience. My children on many occasions have, Mom, enough. How we say enough to them, or I used to say Cecina. So I sing in the morning a lot. I sing in the shower all the time. Today was Elton John, I was listening to Elton John, and I was also listening to the Dixie Chicks, a very interesting song about the Dixie Chicks when things were not working out so well for them. I was like, this is a good song to put on today. So I was listening to Dixie Chicks. So I sing, I journal, and I get treatments. You know what? Because the singing and the journaling I do, and it's good for me, and I release and I write and I get to a place. But then, I used to have a healing studio. And so I'm a big, person, like, get on the table, shut off your brain, let someone else take over. Because as much as we know about ourselves, other people can see other things that we can't. So that's what I do to do those three wonderful things, RRR. And then, sometimes I sleep. Sometimes I sleep. What do you do this is what I want. You know what? I don't want to ask you. I want to ask Audrey and Billy and Rob. I want to ask your family. What does Caroline do to release? Yeah.
Well, when it's that week, I send a group text, because we have our family group text, and I announce that they have to be calm. And it's literally everything goes. No, what do I do to release? Honestly, a bit of what you said. I do sing. My family do ask me as well to be quiet. But that's okay. I'm used to it. When I was singing when I was young, my mom used to ask me, and then I would ask her for some singing classes, and she would be like, Carolyn, we're poor enough. We're not going to put money with the voice you have. And I was just like, oh, thank you. So, but no, for me, my biggest one is walking in the forest every single day. So I have 3 dogs living here. So I can walk as much as I want. I try to keep it to an hour and a half, 2 hours a day, but being in the forest for me is the place of, release and at the same time recharge. And funny enough, realign because I get all my ideas, my creative ideas there. Sometimes I don't even want to think about something and I start walking and the solutions are appearing. And I don't know if it's because it's really empty there and it's amazing. So anyway, that's my place to recharge. And I feel so lucky that I live close to, a huge forest that I can walk 20K basically in. So that's it. But let's not talk about us anymore. Let's talk about our amazing guest that is actually a professional in that. Well, no offense to you, Deb, you are too, but I'm not. So you are too in the release, recharge, and realign. But I'll let you introduce her because I know that you know her personally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think the beautiful thing about being a practitioner or having a life as a practitioner is that practitioners probably more than the average person, because we're healing and talking and sharing and whatever we're doing. We need to up our game in terms of our own personal practitioners and who we go to support. And I've had the grace of knowing this woman and receiving her treatment. And actually, she worked on myself. She's worked on my son, which, you know what it's like as a parent. If you let anyone work on your kid, you fully and wholly trust that they know what they're doing. Denise has been around since 1995. She is an absolute expert in this field. This is her ballpark. So Denise, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks so much for having me with your group.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm excited for people to hear what it is that you do, because I am famous at going, you got to go see Denise. And then people say, why? And I'm like, it's kind of like magic with your muscles. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, let me give you her phone number, right? Because when you're talking about, the vibration of the body or the energetics of the body, it's like, it's so much better when it comes from the person themselves. And I've seen Denise, really, honestly, I've seen you grow your practice to the point where you are now moving things online because you are in mass, you're just popular by mass. And so why don't you explain to people, well, first of all, I think if you kind of explain to people what it is that you do, and then how the heck did you decide to get into that? I'm sure it wasn't on the chalkboard of, careers to choose from when we were in high school. I know there's people that can't see us, but we're not 20. So, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't up there. So kind of give us some background.
Right. Well, the real background is one day I had a crick in my neck, which drove me to a chiropractor's office. It bothered me so much. I walk in and the assistant did an assessment on me. It was the weirdest thing. She was having me stick my arm up and she's pushing this way and this, like this arm might lock. This one was like, bloop, bloop. It's like, what happened? And she did that for muscles from head to toe, my arms, my legs, my trunk. And I went, what the heck is going on? And then I saw the chiropractor and he says, so what else is going on with you? And I'm going, well, maybe I shouldn't be taking pain relievers. I've been doing that for about a year now. I've got headaches. And the neck thing, and he's going, how's digestion? I'm going, yeah, my mother wouldn't be too happy with my regularity. And I'd had recurring bladder infections, as many women do. And he said, they're all connected. And I'm going, you're crazy, because the head, neck, gut, they're different parts of the body. Anyways, he did his chiropractic thing. And then he rechecked all these muscles that his assistant had found. I had not an iota of strength for some of those muscles. And he could have swung like a monkey. It was so dramatic. My arm was like, he could push that way. And I'm going, well, so when are you going to start pushing? No effort at all. And that's when he went through it. And I went, wow, this is what I want to do when I grow up. But I couldn't see being a doctor. And going to school for 8 years, I was planning to start a new family. And it turned out there's a whole layperson version. And I went down the rabbit hole. I just took one workshop after the other. I got dragged into a few. I'm going, I don't know why I'm here. And they said, you just have to be here. You have a gift for this. And that's where I've come. I've been certified to teach many systems internationally. And some of them, I just get frustrated. People get blocked, they get stuck, they create hoops for themselves and little tangles. And I'm going, look, let me make it as simple as possible. So what I do is I teach people to wake up the body-brain connection so that whatever they're doing in life, they have better function mentally, physically, emotionally. And I'll throw the word spiritually in too, because we don't go into the woo-woo side of it. But when you fix these other underpinnings, everything works better in your life.
And when you talk about that, it really, I think a lot of us can relate to walking into a chiropractic office or walking into a practitioner or walking even into a therapist. And if you have the right person, they ask you more than just about the injury. I mean, it's kind of a philosophy of many, ancient studies. It's like your digestion, and we're hearing so much more about the brain and the body connection. And for you to walk in, I mean, obviously that was before 1995. That would have been quite the different practitioner experience where you're used to going, I have a condition, I get a pharmaceutical product for that condition, or you go for a massage because you want relaxation. But to have someone start turning your muscles on so that you're feeling complete and then you're better in all areas of your life, which is really that spiritual part that you're talking about. I'm sure you went through your own trials and tribulations of pioneering. So can you break it out for people that have no idea about, muscle tuning or what that looks like? If someone was to come to you, like what kind of conditions do people come to you with? And what's that process like?
Great. So I run a private practice. It's closed right now because I have more business than I can handle, on top of managing, training people to do this in the most concise, simplified way for them to get home run techniques. But when I get a referral come in, they're coming because they have a physical issue that hasn't been fixed somewhere else. And there is no one therapy, not even muscle tuning, that is perfect for everybody. The thing is so many people will have had an injury. They've misused their body. They've gone and done something stupid, like try to lift up a couch while they're vacuuming underneath it, and you twist yourself up, or stress, overuse, or you're always on your device and you're doing this, you're activating the wrong muscles, or you have an injury, you have an accident, and you go to therapists. And lots of therapy works really well, really effectively, but I end up finding people who've run out with their the insurance payments. They get 10 treatments, 20 treatments, whatever it is, and they haven't gotten the result. They're still not well enough to go back to their original lifestyle. So they walk in and they go, I hurt this or hurt this or hurt that. And basically I say, so if that was not there, what would you be doing differently? And that's where it's not about getting away from a pain, but what is it you want to move to? And then we just assess these muscle tests in the body. So a lot of people have heard of muscle testing to check for vitamins or different things. So a muscle test is just saying, hey, how's a specific muscle doing if we push on it while you think of something, or I touch a reflex point, or just, hey, how is this muscle just doing? Because you say you've got a shoulder issue, let's check some muscles that activate in the shoulder area, right? They all attach in here. How are they going along? And it's pure biofeedback. And it only takes about 2 pounds of pressure. It's very light. And the nervous system either says, hey, I can hang out here just fine, or I can't. And people go, big bodybuilders, I can't tell you how many times I've worked on them and they're going, quick, fix it before somebody notices. And the muscle tuning part is where you figure out the specific reflex, totally customized for that person, that will fix it, get the electricity flowing again. So Deb, you live in a beautiful home. I've been in your home. Have you ever lived in an older house with cranky wiring?
I just muted myself. Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Right. So have you ever plugged in the toaster oven and the kettle and you blow a fuse? And it doesn't matter how much you try to plug those appliances in or turn them on and off, they don't work, right? So you got to go down to the breaker box and reset the circuit breaker switch. Your body's electrical. It works exactly the same way. So when you put too much of a load on with muscles that share the same circuit, you blow a fuse. And that's my job. I've seen people who couldn't walk upstairs for 7 years after a car accident switch on a single reflex, and her knee comes up, and like her eyeballs were like the cartoon. It was just like, whoa, what just happened, right? And how is it to suffer for that long and not be able to go upstairs to your bedroom? And when all it was you blew a fuse.
I love this analogy because it actually happened to me last week. We had the air conditioning in the hair dryer done, the fuse blew, and yes, you do need to go reset it. But what I liked about what you said as well is that, you know, people will try a lot of different therapies. And I know I've worked for a physiotherapist at some point, one of the best. I worked for a chiropractor, one of the best. I love massage therapy. So I'm always at a massage therapist. But we always focus on one thing. So you go to the physio for, you know, like, let's say I brought my daughter, her foot was hurting, and it's really like, it's complicated enough to find out where in the foot it hurts, but we'll do that for that, and then we'll bring her somewhere else for something else. And what I love about your approach, and I think it's becoming more and more common, is to really look at the body as a whole. You know, like, what are you doing and what are you eating, and is your body inflamed? And there's so many different things. And I think that more and more people are opening up to that, and that's probably why you're overbooked, because we want to have those solutions that will actually, you know, bring something. And I find it so interesting because honestly, I didn't know much about the electricity between the muscles. But so for people like me right now listening, who are like, what does she mean when she says we'll create a reflex just for you?
Okay. So the body has a number of acupressure points and different reflex areas. So a reflex is something that has an effect somewhere else. So you know about foot reflexology. I think most people are familiar with that. It's been around a long time. How is it you could rub a spot on the foot and it's supposed to help your lungs or your liver or whatever, and they're touching your feet, you walk out, and all of a sudden your whole body is working better. Same thing when you old fashioned, I haven't seen a doctor do this, so this is dating me. You sit there with your knee across and they bang you on the kneecap with the little rubber hammer and your foot goes bloop, bloop. That's a reflex. So when you activate a reflex, something somewhere is happening. And so I didn't create all this technology, created 2 bits that we brought into muscle tuning that makes our results more durable. And it gets results a little faster, according to the people who study our stuff. But the fact of the matter is we grow on the research that's been around since the 1920s, the 1930s. It flared up and got more in the 1960s. So we grow on the shoulders of a lot of research from osteopaths and physiotherapists who are observing all these things. And then Dr. Goodhart, bless his soul, started having these little accidental discoveries and going, hey, you know, he pushed on something and the guy goes, gee, doc, why didn't you do that sooner? He's going, got to build up to these things. He didn't know what happened. So he researched it later. And so there's a whole body of information that's all based on empirical observation. And so it looks like magic, and yet it is really based on science. And one of my mentors had a diving accident where he came up and he got the bends and he became paralyzed. And he had 4 degrees at university, taught in university. And he found this thing where he went to this weird thing where they pushed on his muscle and they said, think about this and that. And some muscles were working and most of them weren't. And they said, okay, now get up and walk across. And he wasn't dragging his foot anymore. And he had worked over 2 years. So he wouldn't drag his foot anymore. And in an hour, he was able to walk better. I mean, not fantastic. He had a very serious injury. So he continued with the rehab. But the fact is, he blew some fuses. And so he's gone on to write books, and he is definitely solidly in the scientific realm. And yet he's in this energetic realm too. So I'm so grateful for all those people that went before, because they were all called quacks and woo-woo and voodoo doctors and all that. And all I know is, Deb, like you say, what does she do? And you go, I don't know. She does some magic for the muscles. It looks like magic, but it is based on science. And it's just so thrilling when people get results.
Well, I think we can definitely agree that the world's becoming more conscious. And I think with the way that we can transfer information now is so powerful when it's used for good in terms of this type of information sharing with the world. So it doesn't seem so different, right? And not only from a user endpoint, but from practitioners getting together and sharing that incredible knowledge between each other so that there's a resource of, you can come to me for this, but I'm going to refer you over here. And we saw that really big. I remember really big, like 8 years ago, everybody wanted to own a healing center. Everybody. Because healing, right? Everybody, I want to own a healing center. I want to own a healing center because you're so excited about the fact that you can heal in your spectrum, but you also recognize we're no longer this doctor for this doctor for this, that if you are going to recognize that the body is mind, body, spirit, you need to recognize that you're not the only healer that can help that body as well. And the collaborative approach is so powerful, which is why I love the fact that you're doing work online, because someone like you who now has become very popular, I'm not going to say 100% mainstream because I think we're still working there, but mainstream in relationship to alternative practitioners. So all the alternative practitioners have, come together and we refer each other, but being able to use technology like online, because if someone wanted to come see you, that wouldn't be possible. And then this is where understudying come in, like my Ayurvedic teacher is now understanding after, how many years, and she's passing on her practice. And some of us that no longer do treatments that we used to do, myself included. And so you need to pass that information on. Two things. One is, I know that it's kind of, most people think that you tune up that after you do a workout. I'd love for you to explain how, I know personally that you're working with someone that's helping me, a personal trainer for this big event that I'm going to be doing next year. And you bet I called Denise, just for those of you that know that I'm doing this big walk across Ireland to raise money for Music Association. Denise was one of the first people that popped into my head. And that's what I love. It was like, I'm doing this project, and then you just wait, and your little meditation, it sends you who to go to. And I'm like, hey, Denise. She's like, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. I'm like, yeah, guess what? And so Denise came out and had an experience with my trainer. I'd love for you to share that with people, because here's somebody who's well-respected, training in the industry, sharing a lot of really incredible knowledge that didn't understand about having muscles turned on to the heightened sense that you can do. So maybe you can share a little bit about that.
Right. Well, I have a very good friend and colleague who was she got gifted a Christmas gift for Curves, back when Curves was popular in a lot of locations, where you go to a piece of equipment and you do a specific amount of whatever repetitions, and then there's this whole thing. I've been and watched a few people. I haven't participated myself, but she wasn't getting the results she wanted. And she was actually teaching this type of training. And she went back and she shared her frustration. And one of the students was saying, well, don't you switch on your muscles first? And she went, oh, right. So what ends up happening is so many people are in the gym and they're lifting the weights and they're doing the thing and they're not getting the results they want. And that's happened to me. When my twins were born, I was told, get out of the house, do something for stress management. So I went to the gym and I was progressing in a lot of my activities, but I could not do more than 20 sit-ups to save my life. Right. And I had been there for 4 months, could not do more sit-ups after 4 months, 3 times a week than I did the first day. Something's not working. Right. All the other equipment, I'm lifting a couple more pounds a week and I'm feeling very, very proud and things were happening. Go to the chiropractor and go, why is it I'm not able to do more sit-ups? He says, show me how you're doing it. So he puts his fingers here and he feels me engaging them. He says, well, you're doing it correctly. You're engaging the muscle. He did something at that point. I didn't know what he did. The next time I walked in the gym, I knocked out 100 crunches. And I went, this is getting boring. So this is what happens is you go to try to tone yourself up. And sometimes you're not getting very far. And as my friend and colleague did, as soon as she started tuning up her muscles before the workout, she lost 2 dress sizes and everything was firing better. She was and fitter and was way faster. She was getting results in weeks that other people would work months and months and months to get. So with your fitness trainer, I popped in and did a complimentary demonstration for him. I tested 26 of his muscles from head to foot. And he was so surprised that some of them weren't firing right. And we just tuned him up. I asked his body what reflex he needed, because there's reflexes that help with the nervous system, some that help with lymphatic flow, some that help with the blood flow. We have some that you've got to activate if you've ever strained or overused a muscle. So it's very unique for each individual. So tune him up. And he told me later that week after that tune-up, he did the most insane amount of activity, greater gains. I said, so you lifting more weight? He went, yeah, I am. And he said it was effortless. So he was very, very impressed. And that's the type of thing we see all the time when we help other people, whether they're an athlete or a senior trying to get out of their chair to get to the fridge or to the bathroom. You want to be able to depend on your muscles.
So for those of us who don't have the luxury to go see you, because I'm listening to you now and I play soccer in the summer, probably 4 to 5 times a week. So I clearly overuse my body and I suffer the rest of the time that I'm not playing. But with this being said, I'm listening to you and I'm like, I get tired just thinking I would need to tune my muscles before and blah, blah. For those of us who don't have the luxury to go see you, how can, because I know that you actually have a program and that it's not that complicated. For me, listening to you now, because I'm so not into that mode of tuning my muscles, I get tired listening to it. I'm like, that's another thing to add. But you have a very simple program to help people like me that I will probably use your program to, like, how can we help ourselves?
Right. So we have a program originally was meant for health and wellness professionals like fitness trainers, physiotherapists, massage therapists, basically any energy worker who wanted to add something that you could demonstrate a before and after, right? Like reflexology, it feels great to have your feet done, right? But how do you prove to somebody that there's been a change? So there was that program, but that same program, which I coach online, we have group coaching sessions. As people implement it, they come with all their questions and I help them get over all the hurdles. The same type of program can be offered to a layperson, somebody like you, an athlete or a coach who's not really wanting to do it as a business. And all the information is there for as deep as you want to get into it, to have somebody help you test your muscles. And, you know, you do exchanges with another. He's like, watch the video and do what she's doing. And you just work through it. But we also have very simplified protocols that totally fire everything up in your body, reconnect things, and it does not take a rocket scientist. Literally, you could give yourself a tune-up from head to toe in about 10 minutes. You did that once a week, it'd be great. And we also have energy tuning tips. That's a separate thing. And the energy tuning tips is so fun when I do webinars with that, because people feel energized and then they feel calm, and then they feel energized and then they feel calm. And that's like when you were talking about release, recharge, and realign, that's what those activities do. So people can use energy tuning as well to support themselves, as well as muscle tuning types of activities.
So Denise, for there's different types of people that learn different ways. For me, I'm a very visual learner, right? I'd rather watch the movie once it comes out. Some people like to read the book, that kind of thing. I'm just more visual. Now, do you do things online, or is this where someone's reading and copying? You said there's a video, like how does that work?
Great question. And we've had a lot of compliments on our delivery style, because I really believe some people are more visual learners, kinesthetic, hands-on learners, auditory learners. And then there's some people who have to sit and marinate in it and think about things, and then they can do it. So we cover all those aspects. We mail people a full color manual. They follow along, they open a page, there's a video. So they can read, they can hear, they can see, there's extra demonstrations, and then they're given little assignments to go, okay, go do this little piece. And all the little pieces click together to achieve some really awesome stuff. But right away from the get-go, you're already doing awesome stuff. So it encourages you to keep going. All the videos are somewhere between 5 to 20 minutes long. So if you only have an hour, you can watch, 6, 8 videos, maybe 3 if they're 20-minute ones. You just work at them at your own speed anytime you wish. And people just love it. And I never believed before I did it that you could teach this kinesthetic hands-on thing by teaching over video. And it turns out you can, and people learn better, because the ones where the information kind of went over their head, if they'd been in a live class, that's gone. They don't have the foundational information for the next piece, right? So it's been really great at developing people's skills. They're developing their confidence, and they're really doing good work, because anything they want to review, they have access to in our platform forever.
Well, you just checked all my boxes. 10 minutes a week, book, videos, exercise, not too long, because I love learning things, but I'm one of those that it has to be, tell me the essential and say it fast. So that's amazing. Where can people find this program?
Well, they find it online. And I'm just happy that you mentioned that, because everybody tells me I'm supposed to give my creds, right? And I am not a regulated health professional. I'm just some chick who got down a rabbit hole. And I've taken over 2,600 hours of courses. I've trained internationally. I've trained lots of people. I've seen where they've gotten stuck. And I'm going, no. Let's simplify it. That is my superpower. Everybody recently has been going, what's your superpower? I go, it's about making it simple. So you can go to our website, which is www.muscletuners.fit. It's a new extension, the first 3 letters of fitness. And at the top of the page, you can go check out our programs, but there's also a really great tab there. I think it's the 3rd one down. You want to go click on that, because we give over a dozen different tips for you to help yourself. If you've got something going on with the shoulder, got something going on energy, got something going on with the emotional stuff you've got stuck in your body, we're very, very happy to give those tips. They're practical, they're quick. They take about a minute and a half to 3 minutes to perform. So you can get going on your day. So there you go. Did I answer your question? It's muscletuners.fit.
You did. And I do want to say, you touched a point there. You're like, I'm not certified. Certification is one thing, but for me, it's like, does it work? Does it work? If you can teach me something that works, I don't need to see like a certificate. I really think that, knowledge and experience blows over all the rest. So thank you for that. And I will go check that out. And what I like as well is that it's not only for athletes. Like, from what I understand is that you can be a high performing athlete and use that, or you can also be a stay-at-home parent who gets a backache every time they vacuum. It's like, let's get real. I remember, let me tell you a little story. I remember a few years ago, probably 4 years ago, I was training to do a triathlon. 20 weeks of training. I had never done that before. It was an Olympic triathlon, and decided on, after thinking about it, 3 minutes and a half, that I was doing it. So anyway, we trained, and it was pretty, it was about 12 hours of training a week. And a week before leaving, and I was pretty fit, a week before leaving, I sneezed and my back blocked. I could not walk. And then people were like, oh my gosh, what are you going to do for your triathlon? How did you get injured? Is it soccer? Is it this? And I was just like, yeah. Didn't want to say, oh, I sneezed, and I kind of like blocked my back. So thank God it got better. But I'm just giving this example to say, you don't need to do big sports to get injured. You just need to sometimes not think about it and do a little movement. And with age, it's like, boom. So thank you for this information. And I will leave the word to Deborah now.
Wow. I'm so excited. So, and Denise, you've been doing this work for so long, and you're such a craftsman. I love how you break out the treatment. From the time I've met you, you've been dedicated to this. I won't even say cause, but that's kind of what it's like, just turning people on. And when you get to say you turn people, we're all very big now on everyone's, really recognizing the brain and how the brain runs the body. And we've got, big thought leaders writing books and courses and what have you. And it's very important that people understand that the work that you do, because it is very grassroots in relationship to, you're not flying halfway around the country. You're not spending tens of thousands of dollars. You're not doing all that. And to be able to heal yourself in your own home kitchen, isn't that kind of how this whole game started, right? And to be able to do that for your kids and for your family, it's amazing. And so I'm really looking forward to reconnecting. There's a great word, reconnecting with myself in a different way to prepare for this run that I'm going to do. And I'm not saying this because, Denise is paying me, but as someone who's done tens of thousands of treatments on people, if I am going to somebody, then I would highly recommend that someone else go to see that person, because I believe that you're an expert beyond. So I'm really looking forward to being able to use your gift to be able to, the one thing that really sank with me was like, so this run that I'm going to do, and if you guys have been following us visually, you'll know that I'm not in the body of a triathlete, or even where Caroline went and did that. So I've got a ways to go this year. And when Denise said to me, hey, so, we're going to be probably walking 10 hours a day for 10 days. And wouldn't it be cool to be able to touch certain parts of your leg, before you go to bed, so that when you wake up the next day, you're not sore? I'm like, yeah, because, it's one thing when you go to do something, but when you're doing it repeatedly, and to be able to counter that, I mean, I'm just blown away at the ability of what this is to do it, beyond a certain, wanting to get better at a certain, it just blows me away how quick it works as well. So anyways, I'm a big advocate of natural health and wellness. And so there you go on that. So thank you so much for coming. And I hope that everybody takes advantage of those complimentary gifts. And that's exactly what they are. Those are gifts that you should access to kind of elevate your own self with your body. And for any of you out there listening, if you have something that you would like to share with the world, like Denise did today, we are happy to have you reach out to us and come on to the True That show. We're here to support lifepreneurs and entrepreneurs. You can be one, the other, or both, which is what Denise is today. And come and share your story, because you know what? It's important and people need to hear it. And that's what this platform is here for. And me and Caroline are super dedicated and work really hard behind the scenes to be able to elevate the experience of lifepreneurs and entrepreneurs and get your information out there as much as possible. So please contact us. We're happy to hear from you. And as always, Caroline, it's so much fun hanging out with you here on these glorious Thursdays. Denise, thank you so much. We'd love for you to come back and share at another time some more tips and trades. Maybe we can get right into, having people do something as we're, in the interview, actually having them, I won't say touch themselves somewhere, but touch themselves somewhere for the betterment of their healing. And so with that, we will finish off the show. So thank you for coming, and we totally appreciate you subscribing to our channel.